Well, dude, all I can tell you is this. The ocean's right over there.
The snake pointed its head toward the waves of water rolling on the shore.
And I think this is one of them. How do you say it? Archipelago types of places is to exactly where you are. Like in terms of degrees, north or south or east or west, like the position of a cyclone on open waters. I just ain't knowledgeable enough to let you know. Look, man, give me your wishes. You're really starting to annoy me. I've got things to...
The snake's voice was drowned out by the sound of more cries in the distance. Irvino was still hunched over and wailing. What's the matter with him? Justin asked.
Dude's been banished.
Banished? What do you mean?
He's been cut off from the rest. They didn't want him around. They didn't like him.
The snake said.
There are others? Where?
They're on the other side of the island. Look, if you don't give me your 3 wishes, dude, I'm gonna...
What don't they like about him? Justin asked.
He's different, man.
The snake said.
You know, he looks different from the rest. Smaller, skinny. 3 wishes before I go out of my mind over here.
Is that why he's crying? Justin asked. Because he's all alone, away from the others?
I doubt it.
The snake said.
He was probably happy to get away from them. They were always picking on him and pushing him around.
Then what's he so sad about? The snake sighed.
Dude, do I really have to get into this with you? After this, I'm telling you, I am going to be so unbelievably careful not to get stepped on. This is so not worth it.
Just tell me, Justin said.
Why do you care?
I just do. Tell me, okay?
If I were a real jerk, I'd make this count as one of your wishes. But because I'm a nice man about town kind of guy, I let this one slide. Get it? Slide like a snake? Anyway, so this dude, Irvino, was banished to a part of the island that isn't very fertile.
Not fertile? Justin asked. What do you mean?
Man, you just have to have every little thing spelled out for you, don't you?
The snake said.
So, like, Irvino's upset because he's been banished to a part of the island that has very little food. All he's got is one banana tree that grows overripened bananas that are so rotten that he can't even eat them. Then there's this one crazy cow that always makes milk that tastes too spoiled to drink. And there's one grapevine growing that's constantly losing its grapes, which fall to the ground only to be stomped and mashed by the crazy cow. Now, what are your wishes, dude?
Justin stared at the snake, trying to process everything that he was being told. This was difficult, as he was still trying to process the fact that he was talking to a talking snake. So, Justin started, ignoring the snake's persistence to get a wish out of him. So, that's why he's upset?
Nah, it's even worse than just him not having much chow.
The snake murmured.
He's hoping to put on some weight and get a little bigger so he can look more like the other dudes. Then maybe they'll like him more.
But I thought you just said he was probably happy to be away from the others. Now you're saying he wants them to like him more? Justin shook his head and gave the snake a quizzical look.
Well, what I mean is, hey man, we gotta focus here. Do you want these wishes or not?
Justin continued. And if he's already too thin for them, then why do the others banish him to a place with less food when he needs it more than they do? The snake cocked his head to one side.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't make much sense. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
For the first time, the snake looked more thoughtful and less impatient. Justin looked over at Irvino, who had stopped sobbing. The creature was silent now, with his tall, oval head hidden behind his long, thin fingers. Why are the others being like that? Justin asked. Because he's different? Because he has his own way about him, his own style? Because he isn't a boring carbon copy of the rest? The snake yawned.
I'm still waiting for your 3 wishes, man. Getting tired of repeating myself.
Justin's face reddened. Beads of sweat broke out on his forehead, and he wiped them angrily off with the back of his hand. You know what I wish? Justin growled, unable to control his rage. You really want to know what I wish? I wish those rotten bananas over there would turn into awesome banana cream pie. I wish that sour milk from the crazy cow would turn into the most scrumptious of yogurt. And I wish those mashed grapes would turn into the sweetest, most delicious juice Irvino ever drank. Those are my 3 wishes. The snake stared up at Justin and remained quiet for a moment. Then it shook its head, drew a deep breath, and stretched its body high into the air.
Okay, dude, here you go.
The snake hissed. A sliver of red tongue shot out from its mouth, and its head began to vibrate wildly. The ground rumbled, and soon rolls of sand along the beach rapidly formed and raced underneath shallow waves of ocean water. Funnels of fiery smoke darted out from both sides of the snake's head. Its eyes bulged out of its sockets as it focused on the banana tree. A mushroom of explosive smoke enveloped the tree and then slowly cleared. Once the last puffs of thick hot air drew away, what stood in the tree's place was a large tin filled to its rim with banana cream pie. The snake turned its attention to the cow, and its eyes protruded and sliver of tongue thrashed madly about. Charcoal black smoke danced around buckets of spoiled, curdled milk nearby where the cow stood. Once the final spirals of twisting dark air pulled away, the bucket sat overflowing with rich, creamy yogurt. The snake's head then moved wildly about before positioning itself to face the trodden grapes mashed into the ground. Streaks of bone-white lightning flew out of the snake's eyes and branched out into the open air. White and yellow flames danced on the ground underneath the twisted grapevine. One by one, the flames died down, replaced by silver clouds of smoke that eventually thinned out and disappeared into the night. A trough of sparkling juice came into view behind the last wisps of departing smoke, the surface of the liquid rippling in the moonlight. Urbino's head swung rapidly to the left and right as he neared each item of delicious food. He hovered over the trough of juice and drank it in big, thirsty gulps. Wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, he dashed to the buckets of yogurt and dipped his hands deep inside of them. He then buried his face in his yogurt-filled hands and licked them, moaning with delight. He raced to the edge of the beach and dunked his hands in the ocean waters to cleanse them before he headed for the huge tin of banana cream pie to get his fill of dessert. Occasionally, he would glance in the direction of the rock where Justin and the snake were. Justin noticed that along with Urbino's joy were also other emotions, surprise and curiosity. A particularly large Werloobee approached Urbino with several inquisitive but kindly grunts. Urbino hesitated only a second before nodding his head and excitedly giving a few grunts of his own. Then he proudly waved his hand in the direction of his newly found feast. Arms reached out to touch Urbino and lift him high above all of the bubbly figures bobbing about. Urbino lifted his own arms up into the night air and leaned his head back, emitting cries of what sounded like joyous laughter.
Well, that sure did it,
chuckled the snake. The snake peered longingly toward the quickly disappearing banana cream pie. A wild celebration seemed to go on for hours. In the midst of it all, Werloobees continued to crowd around Urbino, often several of them grunting to him at once, and others offering him food or even just reaching out to touch him. And then Justin noticed something interesting. Urbino had stopped eating and wasn't laughing quite as much as he had been. He appeared to not be taking as much notice of the Werloobees that continued to surround him, showering him with attention and affection. He doesn't look sad like before, Justin thought. Just a little bit wistful? Justin then quietly crouched behind the rock with the magic snake by his side and rose up only when the last cheers and applause had quieted down and the bands of Werloobees retreated, leaving Urbino alone. Why didn't he go back with the others? Justin whispered to the snake.
Don't know.
The snake replied.
They sure invited him, though. He could pretty much run for Werloobee president.